EG here. Information for this video comes primarily from a book, Floyd Patterson, The Fighting Life of Boxing's Invisible Champion. It's written by W.K. Stratton. It's a good book. By the way, stay with me for a very interesting anecdote. It's at the end, and it explains a lot about Floyd Patterson. On November 30, 1956, Patterson became heavyweight champion of the world. That was via a fifth-round knockout of light heavyweight champion Archie Moore. Previous to that, a series of fights were arranged to determine the eventual successor to Rocky Marciano. He retired in September of 1955, and Moore was Floyd's final hurdle. But to earn a shot at Moore, Patterson had to first beat Tommy Hurricane Jackson, Floyd's former pal and sparring partner, who was heavier, he was more experienced than Patterson, and Jackson had twice beaten the elusive former champion Ezzard Charles. What many fight fans do not know is this: Patterson, a 2-1 favorite, barely won a split decision over the Hurricane. That was due in part to Floyd's injured hand. That was not publicized at the time. Anyway, it was a near loss that made Archie Moore a 6-5 favorite over the younger Floyd. Despite Archie being very old, somewhere between 39 and 43 years old, and having been knocked out by Marciano in 1955. The Moore-Patterson fight, scheduled for late November 56 at Chicago Stadium, would result in a new heavyweight champion. Floyd and his manager Cus D'Amato set up a training camp at a closed Chicago racetrack where temperatures were low, good sleep was almost impossible, and D'Amato and Floyd spent the time studying the Marciano-Moore fight. And they both discovered that Archie always followed Rocky's right lead with one of his own. So Floyd, they decided, would not try to lead with his own right. Now, the overall game plan was to tire out the old man, Archie Moore, and then knock him out. On November 30, the day of the fight, both fighters weigh in. Patterson's at 182 pounds. That's, 83 kilos. Moore comes in at 188, heavier, about 86 kilos. Patterson napped after the weigh-in in his dressing room, but he was awakened by two very disturbing happenings. One was a newspaper story that just came out alleging that Archie Moore, who's supposed to get the same, I think it was $150,000 for the fight, was getting more money. And that was after he was alleged to have partnered with the IBC should he win the title, and that made D'Amato furious. The second happening was Floyd's wife, pregnant, was in a Queens, New York hospital ready to give birth. And the child, Sandra, did come that afternoon, but the news was kept from Floyd by his entourage, fearing it would distract him. Well, not knowing distracted him. Several hours later, Patterson's in the ring, looking down at all the reporters and cameramen, local and national politicians, celebrities, attending one of the world's most important sports events. Well, the fight went this way. Floyd takes control early. He's in and out, lightning fast, constantly frustrating Moore with his jabs. Moore's famed crab-like defense isn't working. The first round ends with a severe right onto Moore's head. Round 2, Patterson slices a cut over Archie's left eye. Moore is already beginning to fatigue. He couldn't answer Patterson's many punches. This pattern continues until round 5, during which Patterson knocked Moore down with a left hook. Archie rises to his feet, but seconds later he's down again as a result of a Patterson flurry. And this time he got only to his knees. After leaving the ring, over $100,000 richer, Patterson's will walk into his dressing room, and he hears from reporters that he has a healthy baby daughter, and both mother and child are fine. Then he, Patterson, plus his two friends, hop into a car. They don't go to any celebration party. They drive straight to New York. Archie Moore, still breathless in his dressing room, surrounded by reporters, tells them that Father Time led up to his loss. Now later, with the reporters gone, his manager, Charlie Johnston, lambasted Moore for not trying to win. Moore explains, "I gave it my all." But later, Archie said he really wasn't able to give it his all because he was distracted by a recent blackmail threat from a former lover. Still, there was and remains speculation that Archie Moore may have thrown the fight, though it's pretty obvious to E.T. and many today that the new and youngest ever new champion was simply too quick, too strong for the old mongoose, Archie Moore. And many others agree with this. As much about the real Floyd Patterson. Back when both he and Moore were signing the contract to fight, Moore told reporters that he planned to knock out Floyd Patterson. Now, Floyd, the ultimate gentleman, replied with these words, well, if he's going to do that, more power to him, which caused Archie Moore to jump up and lay into Patterson verbally to such an extent that Patterson flees the room. And outside, he's breathless. He finds a phone booth. He calls his wife from the payphone, expresses his feelings to her. Now, whatever she said back to him settled Floyd down, so he returned to the hotel and chatted with reporters. Floyd Patterson may hold the record as the nicest and most sensitive man in all of boxing. By the way, you may enjoy E.T.'s video regarding the friendship that developed between Patterson and his old arch rival, Ingemar Johansson. Anyway, that's it. Subscribe, comment below, tap the thumb up icon. You know the